My name is Rafael, and you're watching Rock and Roll Garage. And today we're gonna talk about one of the greatest bands of all time, in my opinion. If you're watching this video, you probably also think this way. Dire Straits. Dire Straits was formed in London, England, back in 1977, and already on their debut album, they had a smash hit all over the world, which was Sultans of Swing. In the following years, they had many other great songs, many other great hits. You had Telegraph Road, you had Walk of Life, you had Romeo and Juliet, you had Tunnel of Love, you had Money for Nothing, you had Callin' Elvis, and many other great tunes. And sadly, the band is not active for almost 30 years already, and they never reunited. And today we're going to talk about that, why the band came to an end and why they never reunited. You know, every other band in the planet already reunited, but Dire Straits never reunited. But first of all, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave your comment, tell me which is your favorite Dire Straits song, your favorite album, and if you want Dire Straits back, at least I would love to see them. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, okay? Well, if you want to keep the story short, the main reason why Dire Straits decided to come to an end and never reunite again is the band's vocalist, guitarist, and main songwriter, and it's Mr. Mark Knopfler. Well, most bands, when you see a band break up, come to an end, is because the members fought each other. There's something, I'm sorry, there's something, there was a fight between them, or, you know, it was, or people just got fed up of each other. But that didn't happen inside Dire Straits. The band, the backbone of the band was obviously Mark Knopfler, who was the main songwriter, the frontman, the guitarist, genius of guitar, guitar god, obviously, and John Illsley, because he was a bassist, and Mark and John were the only ones who were part of all the releases of the band. They were the only ones who stayed in the band throughout their entire career. And the group, of course, already in their first album, they had a huge hit, which was Sultans of Swing, and that, you know, took them to the stratosphere, obviously. And in the following albums, they had many other great tracks. And they became big and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they were playing to huge thousands of fans. You know, they came from clubs and they were playing to stadiums, and everything became massive and big. You know, it was there were trucks and trucks and trucks, huge structure for the concert, and everything became massive, and that what really bothered Mark Knopfler especially. So they decided to take a break in 1988, and then they came back in 1990, releasing in 1991 their final album called On Every Street. It's from that album. On that album, there's a really good track. I really like that one. It's called Callin' Elvis. If you haven't heard, check it out. And the final tour to promote the album had about 300 shows, so it was huge and really big. They played for more than 7 million people. Can you believe that? It's a lot. And although he was obviously highly successful, it costed Mark Knopfler's marriage, and obviously the future of the band, the continuity of the band. And he finally decided to stop and take a break, and then start his solo career. And since then, almost they officially came to an end in 1995, although they were not really active a little bit before that. And as he told, I'm going to show you right here, as he told in an interview for the Telegraph in 2012, he decided to end Dire Straits activities because he wanted some kind of reality again. I mean, obviously, every musician wants to be respected, wants to make a living out of music, and wants, all the world to hear their songs. But I don't know, I'm not a famous musician, but I can imagine that it must be, if we regular normal people face a lot of pressure in our lives, we have our fears, we have our insecurities, we have everything, a lot of things that bother us in our ordinary lives. I mean, if you think about a famous rock star that is playing to millions of people all over the world, and everything becomes so big, and there's so much pressure in you, and it must be really tough. I mean, the psychological side, it's something really difficult, and I can't imagine how Mark Knopfler felt. So that's why he told the Telegraph, and let's read right now what he said. He said, you're gonna see it here. He said, I put the quote, I put the thing to bed because I wanted to get back to some kind of reality. It's self-protection, a survival thing. That's exactly what we said. He continued, that kind of scale is dehumanizing. How massive the thing became, the tours, the concerts, and all. He continued, I always enjoyed talking with the truck drivers because they are independent-minded, interesting people. I remember going to Catherine on the last Straits tour and not recognizing the drivers. And I just knew then that it wasn't right. So things became so big and so massive, he didn't even knew the people who were working for the band anymore. And then he realized it was really time to go back to put his feet on the ground again, and as he said, get back to some kind of reality. Now, in the same interview, he said he worked since he was 14. He had many jobs, like he worked in a factory, building sites, farming, warehousing, and obviously, in case you didn't know that, he became a journalist. It's really cool to know that a fellow journalist became this huge rock star like Mark Knopfler became, and that's pretty cool. Anyway, the band's final concert happened back in 1992 in Zaragoza, Spain. Since then, they keep getting offers to get back again, like John Illsley said many times in interviews. And Illsley and Mark are really good friends. They're really, as Illsley and Mark already said many times, they keep seeing each other. They go to lunch together, but they never. I believe, especially Mark, never wanted to get the band back together. Meanwhile, obviously, Mark and John focused on their solo careers. They both released many solo albums. And meanwhile, there is a band touring all over the world for a few years that is called Dire Straits Legacy. Now, Dire Straits Legacy isn't is not Dire Straits. Mark and John were never part of the group, but I believe probably they have some kind of blessing from Mark and John. I don't know that, but I believe so because, you know, they're touring for quite a while as the Dire Straits Legacy, and that's, of course, they use the full name of the band. They probably have some kind of permission to do that, I believe. And you know, the band Dire Straits Legacy has only ex touring musicians and ex touring ex members of the band who were not in the band for a long time. I mean, they were only for a few years, and as I said, only John and Mark were part of all the releases of Dire Straits, and Mark was the main songwriter. He wrote practically all of the songs, almost all of them, of course with the help of John, but he's the main songwriter, and the other members, of course. But they're touring all over the world, and of course, you know, they are a tribute band. You can call it. There's no other way to say rather than that they are a tribute band. And on one side, it's good because they keep that music being played live. Although Mark plays some Dire Straits songs in his solo concerts, but of course they're keeping that music alive, and they play only Dire Straits material. And it's a good thing, of course. But on the other hand, I think it's complicated because there are millions of people all over the world that know the name Dire Straits, know the songs, because Dire Straits was one of those bands that one of those rock bands were able to really I think break the wall of rock and roll and really become a pop band. I don't mean pop band in their sound, but on how far they went. You know, they reached a huge audience with their music, and when you break that rock and roll wall, and you don't even have to break that wall, but there are millions of fans who don't bother to know who were the members of one given band. You know, there might be people who love the Beatles but can name no one else besides Paul McCartney and John Lennon. You know, they might not know who George and Ringo were. So it's with Dire Straits, at least I believe, and I seen that there are millions of people who don't know who Mark Knopfler is, who John Illsley is, and they see that name Dire Straits. You know, they don't even have to bother with the word legacy in the front. They instantly might believe those people are Dire Straits. You know, those were the people who wrote the music, those were the people who sang, and you know, they're going to their concerts thinking it's Dire Straits. And I've seen that even with fellow journalists who obviously don't write or talk about rock and roll or music. I'm from Brazil, and Dire Straits Legacy came here for many times over the past years, and I see some local newspapers with the headline saying Dire Straits were in town. Dire Straits made a great concert. You know, they even don't put the legacy in the front of it, and even some journalists have no idea that that band is not Dire Straits. It's a tribute band. But anyway, this is just an opinion, and this is just something I wanted to add in the video, because although Dire Straits never reunited again after the group came to an end by Mark Knopfler's decision, Mark Knopfler is still touring as a solo act. He recently is the new album. And John Illsley is also focused on his solo career. You should check it out. And you have this other entity that is Dire Straits Legacy touring all over the world. So at least next time you hear that, you will know it's them. It's not the original Dire Straits. Well, I hope you liked the video. I hope I didn't extend the subject a little longer, but you know, it's a great band and deserves that we can talk more about it. And don't forget to please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave your comment, tell me what you think, and obviously don't forget to visit rockandrollgarage.com. Okay, see you next time. Thank you.